Right now, really thrilled to be joined by our friend, Gary Dierenfeld. He's a social worker, parenting columnist for the Hamilton Spectator. The website is yoursocialworker.com, and he is the cousin of Howard Levitt, who was just on with us. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Barb. Sorry that there was a mix-up with my phone number.
That's okay. What are the odds that it's like every time Howard Levitt's on, you're on the same night, and it's a total coincidence?
I know. There's got to be more than you're just throwing the dice on this.
I know. There's some reason for it. There's the universe is telling us something. We'll figure it out. Okay. According to a new study published on Monday in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, when parents aspired for their child to get higher grades than they expected the student would actually get, it backfired. The teen's performance tanked. How do you weigh in on this kind of thing about expectations around grades, first of all?
Yeah, well, first of all, the expectations have to be absolutely realistic, not really above the student's reach. When you put the expectation above the student's reach, the student will only experience failure because it's above their reach. If you and I continually fail at what we're reaching for, that's going to lead to our despondency. We may even get depressed, or it can lead to anxiety, feeling, oh my goodness, what more can I do? I'm supposed to be achieving this high grade and I can't do it. And so that's why it's important that parents have realistic expectations, not too low, not too high, but really just right. The other thing with respect to school is rather than pushing the grade, what we really want to set expectations around is responsibility. So there should be a time during the day after school where you're expected to sit down, get your homework done, apply yourself. If we are going to give positive feedback in the form of praise, not for the grade, but for one's efforts, for perseverance, for taking that responsibility. That way, whatever the child achieves in terms of grade, they feel like they've earned it, they've worked for it, and they're happy with themselves.
You know, I really like that because I find even with my own kids, I would rather, we always want your kids to get very good grades, but I would rather they get a lower grade than they hoped for. But I know because I saw them, I know that they were studying. I know they were working hard. I mean, I think that's where the lesson is.
Absolutely. And you know what? You and me, we're no different than that. If we can't achieve what somebody's expectations are that have been set for us, maybe it's your employer, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's our, even as older folks ourselves, maybe it's still our aging parents. When we can't meet anyone's expectations, we feel awkward, bad, perhaps anxious. Can you imagine year after year of that as a child?
You know, what a great point, and I hadn't looked at it that way, but to put yourself in their shoes and to constantly feel like you're disappointing someone. None of us would ever want to stay in a workplace like that.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what I did with our son when he was a high school student. I knew that no matter how hard he worked, he was a solid B-plus student. He never quite cracked the A, and quite frankly, I was the same. So maybe it's genetic. However, I always said to him, I'm expecting you to still achieve that B+, and quite frankly, the degree to which you achieve that B+, you don't even have a curfew. And he looked at me and said, really, no curfew? All I need is B+. It put the onus on him to make sure he achieved that, though. I remember him coming home on a Friday night at 10 o'clock. I said, why are you home? It's still kind of early. He says, well, I have an exam on Monday, and if I don't get that B+, you won't let me stay out. He worked for that B+, he got the B+, and then when, there wasn't schoolwork to be had, he was able to stay out because he was taking care of business. He was responsible. That's what we really want to teach our kids, responsibility.
100%. And I think that's bang on. Let's teach them the proper lesson and not just to get these great grades. And really, they haven't really learned anything except that we have these incredibly high expectations of them.
Well, one of the other things that you can learn inadvertently is to cheat. If I am worried that I won't get the prize at the end of the day for not achieving the grade, and I know that I can't achieve it reasonably, then maybe I will feel compelled to cheat. So there are so many negative outcomes that can be accrued when we set our expectations too high for our children.
Gary Dierenfeld, thank you so much for this, as always.
Great to be with you, Barb.
All right. Gary Dierenfeld is a social worker, parenting columnist, and the website is yoursocialworker.com.